Everyone today must have heard about some sort of news or article saying that we all live in digital era today. But how many of you really understand what digital era means? So what makes this era a digital era? So if you find in the internet, if you Google the digital eras, the meaning of it, there will be many, many definitions you can see. But there's two things you're going to see across all the definitions. First is the amount of data we are being accessible to in today's world. Secondly is the speed of us creating data on a daily basis. So how much data do we have in today's world? Let me give you a perspective. So based on data scientist research, in 2015, we have 4.4 zettabytes of data in the internet. That is 4.4 trillion bytes of data. So if we were to store all this data into a 3.5-inch hard disk, and we stack them up in front of you, how tall would it be? Imagine this is the Earth. We stack them up, it will be this tall. But how tall is it? It will be able to reach the moon. To be exact, it will exceed the distance from the Earth to the moon. So how far the moon from the Earth? 384,000 kilometers. That's how far it is. And data scientists further project that by 2020, we're going to have 10 stacks of this data in front of us. That's the amount of data we are processing or we are being accessed to in today's world. So what an ideal world, isn't it? Everything is just a click a button away. You can Google everything. What a perfect world. None of us, none of our ancestors have this privilege. But as an old wise man always says, everything comes with a cost. So what are the costs we are paying today? Based on some of the medical statistics, depression is already at all-time high in this era. And the same group of people hypothesize that one of the main reasons for this depression is the amount of data we are being exposed to or we are being expected to process on a daily basis. So let me give you an example. Some of you might have encountered a situation whereby you're being expected to know something just because you have access to information. Your teacher will say, learn yourself. It's on the internet. But for those who are smart, who are born with an analytical mind, who can digest data effectively in the internet, you'll be fine. You are not those who suffer from depressions. Those who suffer from depressions are those who are not born with the analytical mind. They have trouble processing large amount of data in the internet. So, welcome to the beginning of digital eras. Today, information has changed how business works, how our society works, or even how humans interact with each other. And if we are still processing data like we used to centuries ago, it just doesn't make sense. So a bit on my background, I came from a small town called Telok Intan, Perak, and I finished my A-level in KL. I get good results. In fact, for one of my subjects, I'm top 1% throughout the world. But I got bored with numbers. I moved on to a law degree in UK. And after finished my degree in UK, University of Liverpool, I got bored with the law industry and I moved on to finance and accounting. So nowadays I deal more or less about dollar and cents. So why am I telling you all this? The reason I'm telling you all this is not to fuel my ego. Not to tell you that I can do this, I can do that. Wow, I'm a Superman. The reason I'm telling you all this is I'm from a small town. I can do it. So do you. So why do I think this topic is important? Navigating and see information is important. Because that's the power of knowledge. That's the root of power of knowledge. And for us, especially as a venture capitalist, I'm a venture capitalist, knowledge breathes insights. And with insights, we can generate values. And in my view, or in the whole society, we award value with money. That's how the world works. So let me give you an example. Imagine there's these two similar persons. The only difference between them is one of them knows about the existence of fruit juice machine. Okay? I give them the same amount of resources. Both of them want Apple. I want them to sell at a maximum profit. So one of them go to the market, sell it for 1 ringgit because that's more or less the market price of an apple. The other one, who know the existence of fruit juice machine, he make fruit juice, apple juice out of the apple I given to him, and he sell it for 3 ringgit because that's the market price. You can see now, with more knowledge, you can generate more value out from the same resources. That's the power of knowledge. So I've summarized the process of digesting data into 2 simple processes. Before you digest information, the first step is you must have the correct data. So we will talk about how we can collect the data. Secondly, then we talk about how to digest data. So first, how do we collect data? So I would like to ask every one of you, what do you think is the easiest way to find for data in today's world? Sorry? Wiki? Google? Yep. For myself, in my own opinion, I think Google is one of the greatest tools in human history to find for information. Without Google, there will be no the world we know about today. But on a side note, Google is a tool to find for information. Google itself is not the source of information. So, but how many of you really understand how to use Google? Because if you want to use Google to its full capacity, you need to understand how it works. And Google, it works by searching for keywords. So if you can use Google effectively, dissect all questions into keywords, then you can unleash the full potential of Google. So let me show you an example. I've seen that in some of my students, because I give tutors sometimes. So this is a typical topic you're going to see during your diploma or your degree. So based on research, a single family has a tremendous impact on the emotional development of the children. Please explain why. So mostly this question is talking about single family impact. So let's say you copy the whole question, you paste it in Google. This is a real experiment I made, okay? If you take the look at the search results, pay attention on 2 details. First is the amount of search result you get. In this case, it's 1.5 million. Okay. The second thing you will see is the article produced in the search results is cited by, I would say, less people compared to the others, which you will see in the next example. In this case, it's 8 people and 10 people. So we move on. In the next example, I'll illustrate if we can use just like bit of human intelligence, dissect the question into keywords. What's the difference? So let's say I exercise some form of human intelligence, I dissect the question, because that's the whole point of the question. Single family impact on children. So what's the search result I'm going to get? If you remember the previous slide, compare back with this one. First, we got significantly more search results. It's 55.1 million search results in this case. The second one, you're going to see the research paper being produced in the search results has significantly more citings compared to the earlier one. That means, in general, you can conclude that the paper being found by Google in this case is more of high quality because more people refer to that. Now, there's this third feature which you don't see in the earlier slides, which is this, the summary section. Google can understand your question so well that it can summarize the question or summarize the search result for you and create a summary on that. So that's the power of Google if you know how to use it well. Now, assuming you all have the right data on your hand, but how to digest it fast, that's the key point of this talk. So first, before we start, we must first take a tour understanding how human brain works. Now, we all know that human brain are built up of neurons. So assuming we have thousands of neurons, we will have words. Then you can unleash the full potential of Google. So let me show you an example. I've seen that in some of my students, because I give tutors sometimes. So this is a typical topic you're going to see during your diploma or your degree. So based on research, a single family has a tremendous impact on the emotional development of the children. Please explain why. So mostly this question is talking about single family impact. So let's say you copy the whole question, you paste it in Google. This is a real experiment I made, okay? If you take the look at the search results, pay attention on two details. First is the amount of search result you get. In this case, it's 1.5 million. Okay? The second thing you will see is the article produced in the search results is cited by, I would say, less people compared to the others, which you will see in the next example. In this case, it's 8 people and 10 people. So we move on. In the next example, I'll illustrate if we can use just like bit of human intelligence, dissect the question into keywords. What's the difference? So let's say I exercise some form of human intelligence, I dissect the question, because that's the whole point of the question. Single family impact on children. So what's the search result I'm going to get? If you remember the previous slide, compare back with this one. First, we got significantly more search results. It's 55.1 million search results in this case. The second one, you're going to see the research paper being produced in the search results has significantly more citings compared to the earlier one. That means, in general, you can conclude that the paper being found by Google in this case is more of high quality because more people refer to that. Now, there's this third feature which you don't see in the earlier slides, which is this, the summary section. Google can understand your question so well that it can summarize the question or summarize the search result for you and create a summary on that. So that's the power of Google if you know how to use it well. So now, assuming you all have the right data on your hand, but how to digest it fast, that's the key point of this talk. So first, before we start, we must first take a tour understanding how human brain works. Now, we all know that human brain are built up of neurons. So assuming we have thousands of neurons, we will have neural networks. Now, we have thousands of neural networks. In a simplistic way, we will have the brain. That is how our human brain constructs of. Now, if we understand the basic of how human brain is being built, now we can use the same knowledge and understand how can we tailor our learning behavior so that we can learn faster based on data we have. Let me illustrate to you. So, let me ask you a question. Think about car. What comes to your brain? Probably these are the things you come into your brain. You got car exterior, you got engine, you got car steering, you got wheels. But do you know how all these data are being stored in your brain? This is central topic, a car. Now, in a very simplistic way, again, this is how your brain stores the data. They construct and they relate the data that's seemingly unstructured back to the central topic. This is how your brain stores the data. Now, by understanding this topic, we can apply this throughout our learning process so that we can learn faster and more effectively. So how about a completely new topic? Because the example I show you is something you have known. It's easy for you, but how about the new topic? The first thing, if you encounter a new topic, is once you have all the data from Google, read through them. Don't worry about the details yet because you're not supposed to do that yet. You just screen through it. What you're trying to do is to understand the framework of the topic you're researching on. What you try to get is this framework. You can see you don't get all the details right yet, but you know what is the central topic and what are the subtopics. Then if you can process on the subtopic directly, then you move on to details. That's how to process data fast. Now let me illustrate you a second example. Imagine you're solving a puzzle. What's the first thing you do? You don't jump into solving the puzzle right away. You take a look at the cover of the box. What are you trying to piece together? This is what I'm trying to say about understanding the big picture, understanding the framework first. So imagine this topic is too big, all right? It's hard for you to chew on or digest on. Break them down in this way. Identify the subtopic that you can grasp on. You can start from the hand, or you can start from the fish, you can start with the body, the tail, or the fin, or the head. Move forward one by one, then you can dissect it like a ninja. Now, enough with theory. Let's put it into practice. I'll give you a scenario. Try to use the same method and see how fast you can solve the following problems. Now, I'll give you a scenario with 5 clues, and I'll ask you a question. Now, first one is A is a friend of B. B is a brother of C. C is a husband of D. D is a sister of E. F is a father of C. Okay. Now the main question. I'll give you 10 seconds once I show you the question. Those who have the answer, please raise off your hand. So the question is F to B. All right, time's up. That's 10 seconds. It's okay you don't get it in the first place, but we'll move forward and try to dissect the question and show you the thought process of how to dissect the information effectively. Now, what's the question earlier? What is the relationship of F and B? So, if you remember all the clues earlier, only 3 of them are relevant. 2 of them are not related to this situation, right? So, these 3 information is related to us, the question. So, among these 3, what is the common link between F and B? Can I see a show of hand who knows the answer? C, yes, correct. C is a common link between them. This is why from this information, you can conclude that F is the father of B. Now, what I'm trying to show here is, maybe some of you are not born with the analytical mind, but if you practice this method, if you learn to see data as linked, that they are related to each other, you can start to learn faster because everything you learn link back to the main topic. It's no longer memorizing everything singularly and doesn't make sense, or you just rely on teacher to show you the link. You can start linking on yourself. So this is why, to a certain extent, very smart students appear not to taking notes in the class. They just cross their hand like that, listen to teachers, but what they are trying to do is all inside their mind. They try to form a framework on the topic teacher are teaching about. They don't worry about clarity because that can be done on self-study. How many of you get reference book and in your home for the same topic in school? For myself or all my friends, we all have a reference book. That can be done at home. What they are trying to do is get a big framework of the topic. Okay, so if you have this friend around you, the smart one, you feel like as though you want to use their brain. You feel like it's good if you have their brain, right? But they too put in hard work to train their mind. And like every muscle in your body, the more you use your brain, the more effective it will be. So hopefully after today, your journey of learning new information or new data is just like playing games, playing puzzles, or relate back to the things you know. The more mini puzzle you solve, the more knowledge you gain, it will be easier for you to solve the bigger problem in this world. And what I'm trying to hope is, if you're young, please build up your knowledge base so that in future you can solve a bigger problem in this world. And you will start to enjoy the process of learning like a kid, like you used to be. You like to play with new things, you like to explore. That's how it is. You are no longer overwhelmed by the large amount of data in front of you because you already know how to dissect them down. Now, I hope after today or in near future, learning can be a great part of your life because you can start enjoy the learning process again. And to end this speech, I would like to quote from a great philosopher from India, Jiddu Krishnamurti. Now he says, there's no end to education. It is not that you read a book, you pass an examination, or you finish with education. From the whole of life, from the moment you live to the moment you die, is a learning process. Thank you.